Don't let your kids watch it!
Welcome everyone to the UndercoverBrony Reviews. The episode reviewed today will be My Little Pony, Make Your Mark, written by Jillian Berrow. Good evening and welcome to the 6 o'clock news. I am your host, John, and on location today is John.
It's John. I'm reporting live from Kyoto, Japan. Below me, I don't know if he's below me on this of the feed that we're gonna edit, but like our other guy here, his name is John.
Yeah,
It's John, the weather guy. He's the weather guy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. And it's hot outside, and it's 4:40 in the morning, so yeah, it's still hot outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna crack open today's first drink of the night. On my walk back from Kyoto Station, I found this Ultraman. I don't know if you can read that. Ultraman, some kind of villain drink. I don't read Japanese, so I have no idea what this is, but we'll see. Hopefully it's not terrible.
Yep.
But we'll find out in a minute. All right, what do we have to do today on the show, John?
So today on the docket...
This looks bad.
So today on the docket, we have My Little Pony, Make Your Mark, the 44-minute special that came out just about, I want to say about a week ago. And we're going to have a big old review, talk about it. Stuff is slowly but surely being drip-fed to us, and I'm happy to say that the Tell Your Tale stuff is still going strong. But we're here to talk about the special, so let's get started. It starts off with Zipp going into Zephyr Heights, and she's really kind of sneaking around, and she even says maximum sneaking engaged, which I love. They're keeping that from the movie, and she's going in, and we find out she's trying to get Pip's lucky microphone from her old room and bringing it back. And I'm just like, you're sneaking around to get a lucky microphone. A little weird, but okay.
Yeah, I thought it was weird because like later they're like hanging out. So like, why was it such a to-do? Like, I was like, oh my god, we gotta steal this thing. They're like, oh, she's just hanging out with us. Like,
yeah,
what's the purpose of that?
It was really kind of weird.
One thing I thought was really interesting was Jillian Barrow wrote this, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, her name came off the credits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she wrote the one she wrote the movie. She wrote the one where Pinkie Pie knows, and The Point of No Return, the one where Twilight has to return the missing library book and meets up with Dusty Pages.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And she also wrote a lot of the novelizations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she wrote the Daring Do trilogy. She wrote Twilight Sparkle and the Crystal Heart Spell, and all the different character novels as well.
So she definitely knows her stuff. Inside with the G4 characters.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to G5, I'm not so sure, but you know, it's still an ever deepening characterization. There's not a ton we know about them yet, so so I can forgive a little bit more due to that fact. But as she's coming back and the intro's playing, I gotta say, even though it's a lot more poppy than G4, I'm still enjoying it quite a bit.
Are you talking about what were your thoughts on, if I may jump in here, what were your thoughts on because during the credits they had the song, and my guess is, my hunch is that that's going to be the main theme song for the series, I'm guessing.
I don't know. It's a possibility.
I mean, it's 30 seconds long, and it's it feels like it feels like a theme song to me. But again, that's kind of my hunch, my suspicion. I mean, I don't know. You guys might have more of a difference of opinion on that. It's catchy, though. I'll grant you. It's definitely.
No, I think,
at least in terms of my perspective.
Yeah, I think that the song I really enjoyed, actually, that song particularly. You know, when you mentioned that, though, like, it seemed like a lot of the songs were really short, and there were only, like, what, 3? Were there 3 songs?
Yeah.
That said, regardless of there being 3 songs, I did feel like a lot of the characters just, like, sang a line of dialogue every now and then, which I kind of found annoying.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like a song. They would just, like, say something and be like, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially especially Izzy. And
Yeah.
this is not due to the new voice actors for Izzy, because there is no way you'd be able to match the ferocity of Kamiko Glenn.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very underwhelming compared to what we got in the movie.
You're talking about Izzy's voice?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I felt like Izzy's voice, like in the original, there's like this fine line between being endearing and annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, it was endearing. And now it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, exactly. She's kind of
I'd say,
running.
like,
She's running
Go ahead.
both gambits of Pinkie Pie, so I guess
Yeah.
she's channeling both here, and
Yeah.
we'll see which one sticks. I'm
Yeah, I
hoping
also
it's the
thought, like,
endearing.
I felt like
Now, are
she was
you-
very inconsistent too. Like,
Mhm.
like the way that she delivered lines like varied between like 3 different pitches or something, but not. It wasn't like she was like more excited. It was just like she was reading it differently, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So the cadence and everything like just was off. It was pretty jarring.
Do you feel like is that kind of the same with Tell Your Tale, or do you think that's more consistent?
I think
And that-
I haven't seen that.
Well, I think Tell Your Tale's a little more consistent.
I think
Mainly
so.
mainly for the fact that because it's a shorter time limit for each episode, they're able to bring out the best
Right.
in the characters right away, instead of having to kind of keep the energy going. Kind of moving on a little bit to the animation here, it's janky as fuck, but not as janky as I was expecting it to be. It feels very much like this is something my wife's been watching, but it feels very much like a Disney Junior show in terms of how everything moves, like kind of like Sophia the First or something like that.
I kind of defer on that. I mean, when you look at the individual, just the smaller scenes when they're just basically talking to each other, conversing. Picking a moment where they're up in the lighthouse.
Pip, when we were fillies, I used to steal Mom's chocolate dipped cherries and blame it on you.
I knew it! You got me grounded like 12 times!
That's like I didn't really see any Disney Junior-esque. That kind of looked like some effort on my part. Like when you look like individual moments, I think like when you deal with like more of the main action, when there's a lot of movement, then that's a little more noticeable to me. But when you're talking about like when they're talking to each other, those smaller moments, when they're like kind of not really moving, they're kind of like I didn't really notice it as much. I don't think it's on the level of say, I mean I certainly think this is a better level than, and I haven't seen a lot of CGI animated TV series, maybe because I'm thinking off the top of my head. What's that one? Lady Miraculous and Cat Noir. That one, something like that. That's a little more, more fast-paced. I think in terms of the action, I could see where your perspective on that, but I think if you were to look at just the smaller conversation scenes when they're just like kind of talking to each other, it's honestly like a really good, I think, lift from the movie in terms of just duplication. But in terms of like some of the jankiness, I can certainly see that in terms of some of the action.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And you pretty much hit it right on the head there with some of the smaller scenes where it's just talking. It definitely is a lot better when it comes to that particular section of animation, but when it comes to the bigger action, it gets really janky really quickly.
It's funny because like one of the notes I had written down, you mentioned Disney Junior, and one of my notes was like, some of the animation jokes and cues give me vibes of shitty, cheap Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think one last note on I think on the animation. I kind of went in with also kind of lowered expectations because I knew for a fact you can't exactly replicate something like that. And I knew there'd be a lower budget for this. Obviously, you can't get the type of quality from the film itself. You have to go in with kind of certain expectations. There's going to be some limitations, and I think the reason I went with that type of mindset is how I didn't really notice that of the animation at the onset. But when I analyzed it the second time, I can definitely see some moments of that. But I think because I went in kind of with lowered expectations, because I knew it wasn't going to be an exact copy of the movie, it would be kind of a sort of representation of what they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll definitely say when it came to this, it felt like there was better lighting than I was expecting. You could see a lot better shading when it came to it. Now, compared to the movie, it's still night and day when it comes to actually looking at it. But in terms of the animation itself, it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's also not terrible. One thing I did notice that I know some people have pointed out already, but right at the beginning with Izzy, it looks like she has bags under her eyes because of the shading. And it either looked like she had been crying or she was just really, really tired or something along those lines. But that didn't factor in at all. It was just an animation quirk. So once Zipp gets back with the lucky microphone, Pip is like, Sunny, we need to do a live stream and talk about Maretime Bay Day and all that stuff and invite everyone coming in. And it gets to a point where there's like caramel corn that pops up onto the screen, and one of the birds is like, ooh, yummy. So he goes and grabs the frickin' Zipp Pip's phone and starts flying off with it, and they chase after it. And right on the outskirts of town, there's this house that they fall into a bed of roses, but they catch the phone, thank goodness. And the main antagonist, Posey, comes out. And I gotta say, her animation, it was the worst out of all of them.
Also, her haircut, I was like, is this the lady from the American Gothic painting? I don't know if you know that. Where it's like the farmer and the wife with the angry face or whatever. Like, she really like had that haircut going on. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was really funny. But I will say, there was one little thing here that really made me cringe.
Well, thank goodness for magic. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Faux show.
Oh, no. No. That's not okay. That's cringy AF, dude.
That's cringy. That's
Can you
cringe.
just imagine if Rainbow Dash said faux show?
I could see that.
I could too.
Well, I mean, she said chillax and all that.
I definitely wrote down, like, when the movie opened, like, this was a Rainbow Dash opening. Like, they were really like, let's make sure people, like, associate this character with Rainbow Dash. He's going to knock into these birds and throw them everywhere. But this isn't relevant to what we're talking about. I just had this written down. I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like her arc is like Rainbow Dash doesn't want to be a princess.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. But one thing I also have to say is the fact that there's conversations between Queen Haven and Zipp, and that Zipp has a foldable smartphone. The fact that they're bringing foldables into this, I'm pretty sure Michael Fisher of Mr. Mobile would be like, I like that. I really like that.
I just am not crazy about the fact that, like, smartphones are in the pony show. Like,
I feel that I like to actually jump in on that, on the defense of the smart technology, if I may. This is certainly, I think, handled a lot better than something like Pony Life, because I've accepted the fact that this takes place far in the future, so they would have more updated technology. So in terms of them having phones, I mean, something like, Pip having something like that, being this kind of pop princess, social media star, I can accept that. I honestly, so far when you see like Tell Your Tale, the shorts, and up to now, I haven't really, I've honestly, it seems, I think, kind of natural for this kind of environment, just for this particular type of environment, just because I know that this is a far more advanced society. I just certainly hope that going forward, I just hope that social media doesn't play, I guess, a big part in the upcoming series too much. I know there probably will be an episode here or there, certainly, if it's like centered around Pip, I get that. But I mean, in terms of the smartphones, it didn't really bother me all that much, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really.
I guess I accepted the environment of what it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not really so much the smartphone that's bothering me as much as it is the social media stuff that you're talking about. And so far we're like 2 for 2. So I assume that that's going to be a running thing, and I think that that's really cringy. I mean, I get that like kids and teenagers today are all about like, oh, it's TikTok, blah blah blah, but like. It's kind of weird to like make it part of the show. It seems pandering to that like mindset,
it's kind of hard to do any type of social media without it becoming dated.
Yeah,
you kind of wonder what's going to look like years from now.
Well, I will say that if they do bring any sort of, I guess you could say, lesson about that, I hope it's talking and imposing the dangers of too much social media. So that it actually has a good stance on it instead of, oh yeah, you can follow your dreams and get thousands of followers, because that's not realistic.
Or maybe don't spread misinformation about like magic and Equestria and how it could be dangerous when it's like
They cut to 2 ponies who are like watching the stream on the phone, and they're just like fucking zombies. Like they don't move at all. I don't think. It might have just been that they're like, hey, put 1 frame of animation here and then pull back from it or something, but they're just like into the phone or whatever. It's just so weird.
I mean, I feel that with going on the subject of Posey, I feel that she could certainly, and of course, we'll, in connection to who are, big antagonists will be of this series. I think that with just sticking to Posey, she will definitely be kind of I think representative of change. I think because the magic is coming back to Equestria. She doesn't really like that. She doesn't like how everything is evolving. It's weird. She kind of reminds me of Dolores Umbridge's character from Harry Potter. That's what I immediately thought of.
That's funny. That's what I felt about the like villain lady in the last one.
Very much so.
Yes.
One thing I will say as well is that in terms of characterization, Hitch is a lot goofier and not as headstrong as he was in the movie, and I'm not so sure if I like that or not.
Yeah.
That's what somebody else said to me as well. So it's funny that you like echoed that.
They're saying that he's kind of goofy and not as, because I mean when I see him in the in the original film, he was he was a sheriff. He was like follow all the rules, but he didn't really crack jokes, but he did have humorous moments that were consistent with his character. When you see him like from the just going back to the film when he's or a new generation specifically, he's like gets caught and he's like dancing around, so it's like I kind of buy him doing that. But here he's kind of being like more kind of a goofy guy, even though I think he's trying to be sheriff and all that. But I think that I look forward to his characterization going forward for a specific reason later in the film that you probably know what I'm talking about, that I'm sure we'll probably express our opinions on.
The other thing I was going to say was this Karen pony. What'd you call her name? Sophie?
Posey.
Posey. Okay. Yeah, Posey, she like, rails on like magic and stuff. She did kind of strike a chord with me about ponies, unicorns in particular, not paying attention and like whacking into her in the market with magic or something, carrying a box. But it really strikes a chord with me living in Japan, because at least like 3 times a day, like Japanese people have no spatial awareness and just like almost crash into me, or like they like go on the sidewalk and they're like this and just drift into you, or like drift right in front of you and then stop in the middle of the sidewalk and you're just like, what are you doing? But yeah, okay. So when she said that, I was like, she does have a point.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Anyway.
Yeah. I think it's like, I guess you could say in a way, it's almost like a culture shock to her then,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention like Donna watched most of the special with me, even though she hadn't seen the movie that preceded it. She had a few comments, so I'll get to them when when they're appropriate. But the one that I didn't mention that she said was there's some point where they're all in a kitchen, and this bothered me. First off, the thing that bothered her was she was jealous of how much kitchen space these 5 ponies had.
I know exactly what you mean.
She was like, dude, I have like a real house and I don't have this much space. These are fucking horses and they have all this space. Why do they need that? My thing was, there's an oven there. Like, she was like, wow, this is really what your takeaway is in this movie, John? Like, there's like an oven that they have, right? And the stovetop has like the little eyes on the stove, you know, like that you put your pots on. But the thing that pissed me off, and I was like, I had to pause it and be like, why is it like this? So like on a regular stove, you have like the large eye across from the other large eye and the small eye across from like diagonally. But they have like the 2 small eyes in the back and the 2 large eyes in the front. And I'm just like, that's not... You had the time to make this on there, and you got it wrong. Like, what is going on? Also, they had that weird one where, you know, like on some stoves, it's like the flat top stove, and they have like the circle and then the bigger circle for a larger pot or whatever, and you can turn it either way. They have 2 on there. I've never seen that. What kind of house are they living in? Like,
they're living in the Crystal Bright house.
So.
It's a big kitchen, man.
She also was like, what are these? I think her comment was like, "What do these horses have? Like fake wood paneling on the floor or whatever?" Like,
the one thing out of this special that you guys get is interior decorating. Interior decorating, really?
If those animators had the time to put that in there and still get it wrong. But anyway, so.
One scene I want to mention is that there's a ton of scenes where they're getting stuff ready for Maretime Bay. They're cooking, they're decorating, but they're making pizza. And that pizza that they made with the white sauce, the parsley, and the mushrooms, I'm like, that looks so good. I want to have that pizza.
That's vegan pizza. Remember that. No meat on it.
Exactly.
It's important. Yes.
I wrote down stuff about that too, about that pizza like makes another appearance. So like that's 2 for 2 on pizza now, right? Because it's in the first movie, yeah. We talked about it, yeah. So like, what is this like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now? The like pizza is like their thing. Like,
is it their food of choice? Apparently,
yeah. I guess so.
So then I gotta wonder, are they gonna start saying pony power?
Wait, they do have power ponies in the original show, right?
Yes, I guess.
Yes.
But yeah, and then like they split the pizza a weird way without like a cutter. She just like flies it in the air and it like splits into 6 different ways. I'm like, you know, now you're just showing off those powers.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And I love how they're talking about how they think Posey might just be jealous about the whole thing, and the fact that Hitch is like, I kind of like to be able to float things, but it seems a little out there and scary for me. Moving forward to one of the conversations between Zipp and Queen and her mom is the fact that her mom has the audacity to say, Pip has her little salon project, and while I like the idea of you keeping an eye on her, she live streams everything, so I don't think it's really necessary. And I'm like, did she talking about doing a parental stalking sort of thing with the live streams? I'm just saying. I do really like that Zipp has a lot more of a character in this special.
Yes.
And
yes,
very much so going to Zipp is, John, you remember I said in the G5 movie review that Zipp actually became my favorite of the new generation of ponies. But
really,
this special exemplifies that tenfold, because it exemplifies a lot more. It was hinted at a little bit in the movie, but it's a lot more prevalent here that, you know, she's next in line for the throne. but she doesn't want to follow her mom's footsteps. She wants to be her own. She wants to forge her own path. And the fact that they brought that up in this special and made it a lot more evident made me like her a whole lot more.
Nice.
Which is interesting. I actually have a contrasting view to that. When I watched the New Generation, and again, I love Zipp, but I mean, I thought she was, and there weren't a lot of scenes with her, so I didn't really know what her arc was. I mean, everybody else's arc or path going forward from that film, I could certainly figure it out with Sunny, with Izzy, with Hitch, with Pip. But I mean, I didn't know what Zipp, with her, with like you said, with her wanting to forge a path. I didn't know what that path was, but seeing the tell your tales and this special going forward, I would say like my liking of her has actually increased exponentially. And I would say honestly, this special is really primarily, I think, kind of Zipp's story, even though it's about them as a whole. I think actually this is kind of Zipp's story, because a lot of the story is like really focused on her,
I agree.
trying to figure out why these magical happenings are occurring. So I definitely am. I definitely share this this consensus with this. I feel the same way when it comes to how you feel with Zipp, and just seeing her forging her path. It's one of those where I'm really generally excited going forward on what her story is going to be and how she's going to be forging her path, and certainly the stories that will be involved with that. And I'm certainly excited about that prospect.
And then in that same scene, you have Sunny kind of going up to Zipp, and it's like, "Are you okay?" And I love how Zipp is just like, "Well, I can't really fly. Well, I can fly, but that's about it. I can't levitate things or do any magic." And I love how Sunny is just like,
As Izzy would say, it makes your sparkle shine really bright.
that imitation of Izzy in that moment was just really adorable. And one of the other standout scenes, and I know we're going to move forward, trust me, but one thing that I love with the interactions here is between Hitch and Zipp, because they just have such a great friendly banter between the two of them. It's great. Like, Zipp goes in to try and talk to Hitch, and it's just like, "Have you noticed anything strange?" And he's like, "I know what's going on with you, Zipp.
You're bored."
It's like, let's go do something. Let's make a puzzle. Or actually, there's a problem at the beach. You want to come on a trot along with me? And I'm like, okay, that's good. And then later, after the dragon egg is discovered, you have Zipp coming in. It's like, what's going on here? You were hiding something. I knew it.
Hey, would you mind keeping this between us for now?
Sure, I can zip it.
What?
So, you gonna read us that story now, or what?
You sassy bitch. Like, oh my God.
I love that. I love that. I know I talked with you before, and I know you are a, correct me if I'm right, you're a Hitch and Pip shipper, but I mean, you gotta admit, they have really friendly chemistry with each other. I totally would see them having stories, episodes together, doing detective work or a trot along or something like that, something of that nature. But yeah, I definitely saw some real definitive, really friendly chemistry.
Yeah, I actually really agree with you. I think that they have great chemistry together. One thing I really liked or thought was funny, though, is that if you look at Hitch's phone in the police station, he's got one of those, like, senior citizen phones with the giant buttons that are like this big. I guess because he has hooves and would be like boop, 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 or whatever. So
yeah,
the big numbers. I saw that. I thought the big buttons.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm like, is that a toy phone?
What is that?
A thing that I just thought was very interesting was that like Hasbro is clearly trying to move away from the main six here, but literally like a week and a half before this came out, there was a major film release with the main six in it. which was
with Chip and Dale,
Rescue Rangers movie.
Oh god, yeah.
That's pretty cool, right?
I
thought
haven't
that was
seen it.
awesome.
I haven't seen it yet, but
You haven't seen it?
I want to see it because of the washed up Sonic.
Oh yes, that's absolutely.
It's worth the price of admission.
That's what makes it the best. Like I didn't really like the movie so much, just because I don't like these reboot things where they're like, oh yeah, haha, it's very meta, and we oh, we're very self-aware, and I'm just like, just do a regular Rescue Rangers movie, and I would like it more. But like, I kind of appreciated it, and there were some like honestly really solid jokes that made me like caught off guard laughing. So like, I definitely recommend watching it. It's just not like the best, but I would probably watch it again maybe.
From how it sounds like a parody of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It is.
It's very Who Framed Roger Rabbit like, and Roger Rabbit's actually in it too.
Oh,
I would honestly argue it's the closest to a Who Framed Roger Rabbit sequel that you're probably ever going to get. No, I was about to say not as good as Who Framed the.
Absolutely, I was going to say
obviously, but you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say that said, like if your choice was to watch Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers once or watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit like 7 times, you should watch Roger Rabbit 7 times because it's cinematic masterpiece. Like the practical effects with the animation, like to me, like watching it today, knowing that they didn't use CGI is like mind blowing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing watching the original Star Wars trilogy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, how in the hell did they do all of this?
I know.
Like just that shot of the Millennium Falcon moving towards the camera in a way. I'm like, what the hell? So one other thing that was interesting was the fact that just like with how Ancient Equestria worked G4, there was also the fact that the crystals themselves are also powered by Pody emotion. So like when all the rest of the new 5 were kind of like laughing and playing along, it was causing the crystals to get stronger, and then there was like this crazy thing on the tower where it's like these vines coming over. But yeah, when people were getting mad or arguing, it was causing the glitches to continue. So I'm thinking it lends even more credence to the fact, because we still have not gotten any confirmation, but it still lends more credence to the fact that it could have been the last of Twilight's power getting those crystals put together. So I'm not exactly sure where they're going to go with it, but it's still interesting to think about.
I apologize just for interjecting, but I thought you were going to mention the fact that it was going to also allude to the fact that there were no more Wendigos.
Oh, yeah.
I have it written down. I was like, this is like their version of Wendigos.
That's what I thought. I thought you were going to say that. That was kind of
I thought he was going to say that too.
But yeah, it's weird with not having the Wendigos in that context. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. It's still
kind of is though, because like the storm clouds came in and everything.
I think that is representative of the Wendigos. Like this is their version of the Wendigos.
Yeah, that's what I had said. Yeah,
I think that's what it's representative of that. I think I was reading some people's opinions on this. They were talking about how like it's almost like it was too like there were some criticisms about how like it was too like, oh, some of the ponies got mad, so there are storm clouds, but it's like, so does that mean they can't like be like they gotta withhold their emotions or something like that? So that's what I keep hearing. But I guess my thought on that is that like those clouds, for instance, I don't think it was like covering all of Equestria. I think it was like just covering that section of Maritime Bay. I don't think it was like, because it wasn't really implying like everybody in Equestria was like angry at each other. I think it was just like this collective set of ponies that were angry at each other. Again, that's what some people were had criticisms over, and then it was like too like the crystals were like too sensitive, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I had something written down to that effect, which was so like you're forcing the people to be happy to keep the magic working. Is
Yeah.
that what the
Yeah,
story is here? Like,
Yeah,
But-
that's it. Like you're kind of forcing them to like be happy all the time.
Yeah.
That's
But-
what I think some people were talking about.
it's
But
like,
I will say right there, wouldn't that also be proving Posey's point as well?
Wait, what?
Yes.
Well, so her point of, magic is not only dangerous, but it's also, we don't get any, you're getting something. In a way with Posey, it feels like the magic is being forced onto her.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you're wanting to say, oh, we have to keep everyone happy, we have to do this, we have to do that, it's kind of proving her point. Because now she feels like...
Is it all about conformity?
Unfortunately, it wasn't conveyed very well in the special itself.
I mean, you can definitely, there's definitely room to give Posey some nuance and some gray areas. That's what I loved about G4 is that you had some characters who felt that they were justified in their actions, like going back, Starlight, Glimmer, felt that she was justified in her actions, and I felt like that's what I think Posey can be kind of. That's why I feel like she can be that kind of. If they make her an antagonist, believing that she is justified saying that this is not the right way for Equestria to be. She's obviously not in the right, but you can certainly understand her perspective.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. If they were able to take it with a little more care and nuance, I think it could actually be something interesting. But unfortunately for this special, at least, it was too on the nose.
I don't want to use the obvious common slur, but making her kind of a bit of a Karen. Didn't want to use the obvious, but I mean, like you said, it was really obvious.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Also, with going on with Posey here, the townsfolk are just as easily swayed and just as stupid as a lot of the G4 crowd. I'm just saying, maybe even more so. Yeah, no magic. Like, what the hell? The line delivery was horrible with these background characters. But one other thing that I do have to say is everyone Pip's like, you know what? Let's take a break. Let's just take a break and figure out. And Zipp's just like,
Please don't let it be makeovers. Please don't let it be makeovers. I knew it.
fuck. But then that song that happens, oh man, I was jamming to that song. That was a great song.
That was a really good song, and it was only like a minute and a half long. Like you were alluding to earlier, like most of the songs in this are incredibly short.
Yeah.
Mr. Lusk, I know we talked a lot about Fit Right In being the most like G4. Do you feel like this is a G4 sort of song, or do you feel like it's trying to stray more into G5?
I think so. I think
Okay.
it's like more of its own thing. I'd have to listen. Unfortunately, I only got to watch it once before this review. Last time, I think I watched it at least twice. But I had time constraints here because I was like teaching in Japan, and it's just been an insanely busy like couple weeks. Plus, it for some reason it's still not on Japanese Netflix, so I had to like illegally download it.
Oh, jeez.
It's all right.
Hey, that's what Yay Ponies is for.
Just getting to your opinion real quick on those, what the tone is or what the feel was of those songs. I felt that it wasn't necessarily G4. I thought it honestly gave kind of a Equestria Girls vibe.
Oh yeah, I did.
I can see that. I can see
definitely
that.
see that.
That's
for
more
sure.
of an Equestria Girls vibe than a G4 vibe, I think.
That-
I think they're.
It still feels like its own thing, but I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
how
would
I
agree
feel,
with
because
that.
it is kind of a pop song kind of feel, and so that's why I felt it was more Equestria Girls.
No, yeah, I definitely. That's what I figured you meant. Yeah, it definitely has that more like pop song kind of vibe to it. I feel like in the Equestria Girls movies, a lot of the songs like really move forward the plot, and I feel like this didn't really do that at all. It was just like, oh, and here's the song or whatever, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
No,
I also,
mean,
like,
in a lot of ways, it
I also
did feel
didn't-
like that.
Yeah, I also didn't have like subtitles, and like a lot of times I have like an audio processing thing when I listen to songs that I just hear the music unless I can read the words with it or something. So that's why I don't see a lot of musicals unless I can like read it, because I I'll just tune out and listen to the music and be like, this is a really great rhythm, and then be like, what the fuck's happening? So, yeah.
I feel you on that. I have something
Yeah.
similar with that. So this is kind of where my notes kind of teeter off, but but it's literally where they're trying to throw Maritime Bay Day, and the fact that it just all goes to hell, everyone gets stuck to the ground.
I had written about that, which I don't even need my note really. Basically my point was like, why the fuck would like the Earth ponies be affected by this magic thing? Like they lose the ability to walk. What is this fucking thing fritzing? Give them Alzheimer's or something? Like why is that a thing? They don't have magic powers. You don't need magic to walk. Why would that stop you from being able to lift your feet?
The only similarity that I could see was the end of Friendship Games, where like the two worlds were colliding.
Yeah,
but it almost seemed like it was Maritime Bay and an endless abyss or something like that.
I think I wrote down, did she call one of the ponies Whitney when, what's her name again? Sophie? Wait, Posey?
Yeah, Posey,
Wendy.
yeah.
Posey and Wendy?
I don't remember.
I don't know. I just wrote down Whitney is dead. when they fell off into the abyss or whatever. I was like, Whitney is dead and Karen question mark or whatever. So
yeah. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead. You're gonna be dead in a few years. You're dead, you're dead.
Oh, I had written down that I feel like that the whole thing is just of like the Karen plot or whatever. The Sophie. Why keep calling her Sophie?
Posey.
That's her name now.
Yeah.
We're just gonna edit the Wikipedia tonight.
Voiced by Sophie Carson.
Yeah, the whole Posey subplot is just like, it's just like I don't know what this word that I wrote down is. It looks like it says adders, but it's basically the whole Posey subplot is just like a metaphor for children about the divide in America right now, or something. I felt like it's just like red state, blue state politics for kids.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Wow.
Oh, no!
And that's all we're gonna say about that.
Also, regarding like the animation quality, the only time I really like recalled, because I wrote it down, was like the only time they really like showed like the fuzz on ponies. Because remember in the other movie they showed like fuzz in the previous movie on the ponies. The only time I recall seeing the fuzz on a pony was in the climax when Sunny like goes into the abyss. They like close in and they're like, oh, look at all this fuzz on her or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, they have good animation here or whatever. Well, and then it was like, and now they all look plastic. Well,
speaking of the animation, I just found this out just before we started recording, but found out the animation studio is not Boulder Media. Actually, it's it's not the same people who did the movie. It's called Atomic Cartoons that did this. So they received the assets from Boulder Media and had to make their own thing. So I'm wondering how it's going to be, like if that's going to be the main studio for the series now, and that Boulder Media was just for the theatrical release. I don't know.
By the way, if it seems like my energy level went up, I think it's because this drink that I thought tasted like Sweet Tarts is actually Red Bull vodka. So,
oh, there you go.
Anyway, the notes that I didn't get to say, this one I don't like, but I wrote that crazy fluffy boy returns about the little dog.
Yes, the fluff ball.
I just like out of context, that crazy fluffy boy returns. This one I really liked actually. So when Zipp is on like one of the FaceTimes with her mom or whatever. First off, her mom like FaceTimes like this. She's like, hey, what's up, guy? I'm talking to you or whatever. But second off, when she's on the video call with her mom, she like tries to like pretend that she doesn't have cell phone reception.
Bring up.
And I'm like, dude, you just look like you're making a seizure. Like, it doesn't work when they can see you.
Like, exactly.
Just like you're like, or whatever. So,
just get it by the glitching magic thing, and you'll be fine. Then you'll get to see it.
Zipp at one point says, I saw what happened at the beach the other day.
Yeah.
And like I turned to Donna and I was like, is this not the same day? And then she also said like, oh, the other day I also saw these ponies fall out of the sky. And I'm like, how much time has passed? It seems like this is all one day. Did it not seem like one day to you guys?
It seems like it's more like over the period of like 4 or 5 days from what I could see, but the
Did they ever show
transitions,
nighttime?
but the transitions between those days were not prevalent to actually say, "Hey, this is the next day."
It struck me like I thought it took place in this whole event, like all the events took place in the same day. I didn't feel like it was over a course of a few days. I thought it took place on this whole thing took place on one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
That's
it
how
seemed
I
like no time passed.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I do know that there's one little thing that says the passage of time is when Zipp first goes to the beach and she's just like noon beach, and then she goes back up to the tower, 12:15 tower, you know, and then she's like 5 hours later, still no glitches, you know. But that was about the only thing that they talked about that could indicate a passage of time. So you know, it wasn't shown very well.
Okay, next I have, so at the cinema, they have some posters outside. One of them is like some karate pony or like samurai pony. And on the other side is like basically like the man with no name, like Clint Eastwood, like what Cheese Sandwich is based off of, which I thought was kind of cool. And the opposite side looked like maybe a suit of armor pony. Possibly. I'm not sure. At first I thought it was King Kong. And then I was like, maybe that's a suit of armor when I paused it. Donna was like, there's like two guys just chilling on the ground. And Donna was like, that dude's really high. It's like, they're also just like sitting on the ground chilling outside of the movie theater, which is a kind of a weird thing to do, I guess, unless, you know, maybe Star Wars is opening the next day.
Yeah.
Nobody's fucking working at any of the stands.
Yeah.
I mentioned that in the trailer, and then I rewatched it and was like, maybe those people were working at the stands. Nope.
No.
Like all of the stands have no fucking people working at them. Like it's just like food and popcorn and burritos or whatever the hell they're selling. Nobody's working. So I don't know, like, is it all free? Is there like some is it an honor system and you still put the money in the bucket? I don't know. That's just weird. All right, so,
No, when you said honor system, I'm just thinking, am I a good enough noodle to have this food?
this one I really liked. I know you have to put this. I hope you put all of these in here, but like the one that I really liked was another Donna comment. Donna was like, I really hate to make this joke, but that Karen pony needs to get laid.
Yeah, she does. She looks like a single, like an older single pony.
She's so mad. And then Donna was like, yeah, she really needs a roll in the hay.
Yeah, exactly.
The bird's name is Kenneth. I like this reveal. He's like, I can speak to animals. Okay, Kenneth the bird, or whatever. I did have one question. So at the end of the movie, when they fix the thing, and then like all ponies have magic now? Is that what?
I guess it's that.
If that's the case, what makes an Earth pony different from a unicorn? It's just like a deformity on your head is the only difference.
I think it's magic. I think it's honestly like power levels, like magic levels. Like it's not like their magic. I think as Earth ponies is not like as strong.
So maybe like everybody else got like a specific like cutie mark like kind of magic. So like you can only control flowers, and you can only control I don't know what else other people had powers of, but like they could only do one task.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
unicorns can kind of do multiple things, and they can levitate and.
The one thing that was a G4 was that the Earth ponies are very much attuned to the ground and agriculture. So I think this is like a bigger manifestation of that, so that the Earth ponies are able to work much better with agriculture and the ground and grow things. So I think that's probably what's going on here, that it's a much more potent manifestation of that.
Okay.
What I noticed, and this is like a really kind of an interesting. Well, I mean, just from my perspective, did it? I'm not sure if any of you seen Legend of Korra, but Well, I mean, if anybody's listening or has seen the show, they'll know what I'm talking about. But basically, in the show, there's a season. It's kind of in the fourth season, fourth to last season, where basically, spoilers, the magic of like the realms kind of comes forward and kind of envelops like the modern day city or the modern day, and it's kind of deals with the episodes afterwards deal with the consequences of like all this magic coming forward. And that's what I kind of thought of when I was seeing that. I kind of had some Legend of Korra vibes, but I mean that's like more what I thought. I mean, the idea of like all of them getting magic will definitely, I think, will lead to some very interesting stories going forward. I'm really certainly excited, kind of curious, just really curious about what type of ideas the writers will come up with.
I just started thinking like giving everybody magic is gonna give rise to supervillains.
Oh yeah, and when everyone is magical, no one will be.
It's gonna be like if you've ever watched the Flash TV show, it's like those people that are what is the term they use in the Flash TV show? Do you either you watch that?
Is that
Yeah,
right?
metahumans. Yeah, it's just gonna be like, oh god, Zipp and Hitch are gonna go get this metahuman who's robbing banks with their power to go through walls or whatever. Like that would be a pretty cool. I would actually really like that. But
Yeah. After everyone is saved, where Sunny somehow is able to control her magic now, I guess. She gets like amidst this force field that grabs Posey and the other character and brings them back up. They find out that unity, of course, is again the way or whatever. Now I'm thinking of the Mandalorian. God damn it! Just,
I thought of I actually thought of Violet from The Incredibles when she had like her invisible force field and she like had all the family in there. That's what I thought of.
well, I'm just thinking of This Is the Way.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know.
No, I knew what you mean. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
But then apparently Hitch again is Fluttershy now because he can understand animals. And
Yeah, I thought that too.
and there's a
Yeah.
baby dragon that gets hatched. So
Yeah.
and they said that they haven't seen dragons for generations. So I'm like, okay. I hope Spike's still alive, but still okay. And then we get to a semi post credit scene where it zooms out of the town and you see this dark purple alicorn that's basically saying, now that they've figured out how to stabilize magic, I can move in and exact my plan for revenge. And I'm like, intriguing.
Which is weird because that seems like a better plot for either of the movies that they've done. But it's whatever. I'm not the writer.
I got to tell you, watching it, my grade on this was kind of in the middle, but I kind of bumped it up a couple of notches when I saw that, and then I was like, okay, I can kind of picture going forward, kind of where it's going, or at least the tease of where it might be going. I have my theories, but I know you guys want to just go for it.
I have to say that like upping your rating based on what's essentially like an MCU tease at the end, it's like it's a really weird way to rate a movie. It's like, oh man, I didn't really like the movie that much, but when they showed Iron Man at the end, oh my god, that was a movie.
It's like when the Incredible Hulk came out and everyone hated it, and then you come up at the end, it's like, it's supposed to be part of this. I don't know if I like it anymore, but great.
What if I told you we're putting together a special team?
Yeah. I did think though, like the last okay, first off, I had two thoughts as far as my overall opinion. Since I think that's where we're getting at here. Is like I thought that the first 30 minutes, mostly nothing happened. In the last 12 to 15 minutes, anything interesting that would happen in the movie happened. But I also think that like the very final 2 or 3 minutes felt like the most I don't know if either of you watch a lot of Miyazaki films.
Oh, I have.
Yeah. So
Studio Ghibli film, yes.
Yeah. So some of the last Miyazaki movies have been worse about this, like Ponyo and Howl's Moving Castle specifically. At the very end, it just feels like it feels like the pacing in the movie is like great, and then the last like 2 or 3 minutes, they're just like, oh yeah, you're a scarecrow, you were the king the whole time, and oh my god, this castle, it's perfect, and like this guy, this happened to him or whatever, and it just like all happens really quickly, and that's how this ended. This is how this felt when this ended. Like, or like Ponyo, it's been a while since I've watched Howl's Moving Castle or Ponyo, but I feel like both of them end like where it's like, oh, Ponyo, you're now a real girl, and look, it's your dad, and like also this happened or whatever, and it's just like it feels very abrupt, and I feel like that's how everything, like all the connections got wrapped up very, very like rapidly in a way that didn't feel normal.
I saw it from the perspective of this is basically a pilot episode for the series.
Oh, for sure.
So that's kind of how I, and remember, you got to like, cram a lot in here. And, I can definitely see that. Because, I mean, yeah, first 30 minutes, nothing happened. But, I mean, the last 12 minutes, they kind of teased a lot of, potential story threads going forward.
Yeah.
So this is basically a pilot episode for those type of things. But yeah, they definitely did kind of Ponyo and Howl's Moving Castle the last third of this.
You'd think that your runtime would be used a little more effectively to like stretch that bit out instead of the first part.
But I will say it feels, at least to me, I don't know if either of you have seen the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah, I've seen it all. It's great.
But it's great. But doesn't it feel like Sean, you were talking about how this feels like a pilot. It almost feels like this is their version of the Clone Wars movie. That it wasn't really all that good, but what followed it was really good. So I'm hoping that it's the same thing here.
I hope to God that is true. I do. I just like, because that's the thing. With the pilot episode of any type of series, you got to get all the exposition out. And you got to introduce all these characters. Once you get all that stuff out of the way, then you can like get to the fun stuff. It's kind of like when they do like superhero films. It's like some of the superhero films, kind of the first ones, kind of are just the origins of the characters. But then the sequels, then you don't have to introduce anything. It's like then you can do the fun stuff.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you use the word exposition because there's like an exposition dump at the beginning of this movie. Just like, oh, by the way, these are all the events of the first movie that you should know in the span of 3 or 4 minutes or whatever, which I thought was funny too. No, so if you gave it like a star rating out of 5 or 10,
so
you can choose if you want to do 10 or if you want to do 5.
So I know that that for me specifically, I like to do it between 1 and 10.
Okay, so what do you give it out of 10?
Now, for me specifically, this is because I've seen Tell Your Tale, and Tell Your Tale is actually pretty decent. I feel like Tell Your Tale is almost a little bit better in terms of like
I need to watch that.
pacing and because it's much smaller stories. It's very, very slice of life, and I like slice of life stories a lot.
Gotcha. Where can you watch it?
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, okay.
But I'm going to say, I know it's a low score for me, but I can't give it more than a 6.5. It feels like, because like to me, anything below a 6 is like horrible. And I know I've only listed 2 episodes that are like that. Potentially 3 or 4, but we haven't gotten that far with the retro reviews yet. But 246, great. The one where Rainbow Dash has to do the cheerleading squad. I despise that episode. It was the worst in the whole series. And then there's Three's a Crowd, which is the Discord season 4 episode where he gets blue.
He gets blue?
Yeah.
Oh wait, where he's sick and the drink water?
Yeah. Yes.
You don't like that one?
No, I don't. I felt like it was a bunch of wasted potential for Discord.
And no development on Princess Cadence.
Yes, exactly.
I wanted some time. I wanted them to like spend time at the fair and like sisterly bond. But again, that's my personal opinion.
But anything like a 7 is an okay score, and then 8 and up is like good, very good, and fantastic. But
that's where you put like New Generation, the movie, in terms of.
I'd say New Generation about a 7.5 for me.
Okay. Okay.
But this one, I just can't give it more than a 6.5. It's just,
gotcha.
The pacing is too fast. The character interactions are somewhat inconsistent between each other. along with the pacing. It doesn't help matters. I do like the tease at the end, but overall the package is just very, very shaky, and I wish they could have done better. I struggled to like a lot of things about this movie, and I don't like when I know I have to struggle to like something. It's not very good.
Yeah.
Lusk, what would you give it?
I was gonna rate it on Letterboxd earlier when I was on the train to my friends, because I review all my movies on there. And for me, like, I'd say like a 3 would equate to a 6 out of 10, and a 3 to me is like it was fine. I would probably give this a 5 or a 4.
Okay.
So like a 2.5 or a 2. Like, for me, it was like, it wasn't bad enough that I'm like, I'm out of the fandom. But it definitely was not the same quality of writing as G4 at all. And I don't even think as strong as the film writing. I thought that the writing in the film was good. I thought that the film... Okay, I would say I thought the writing in the film was fine. I'd probably give the film like a 7 out of 10. But I would probably give this one like a 4 or 5, just because... I felt like a lot of the time was wasted. I felt like the characterization was okay, but I thought like some of the characters suffered in this one compared to the last one. Yeah, no, I thought it was more annoying and like more like kiddie-like. Not, I know this is for kids, but like so was G4 and so was the other movie, and they seemed to like respect their audience a little more, and this kind of dumbed it down further. So for me, I'm gonna go with like a 4 or 5 out of 10.
Yeah,
I'll go with a 5 just because like it's not as insulting, I guess.
Yeah,
but I did not hate it, and I did like some parts.
Yeah, like I didn't hate it either. I just feel like they tried something different and it didn't really stick. I'm hoping that they can still salvage something good. Which, considering, like I said, again, considering that last portion, I think they can. But,
I think so.
And trust me, I've seen a lot worse. Like I said, with 246 Grade, I hated that. That nearly broke me. But this one, it's hard to see all this potential go to waste. You know.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean? What would you rate this?
Well, I'd say second time I'd probably, because I had kind of more of a higher score when I saw it the first time around. When I watched it the second time, I was a little more critical of it in terms of all the elements. Yeah, like I said, it did kind of lower in terms of like, I wouldn't say it's like 100% kiddish from my perspective, but I kind of went in with, I think because I went in with lowered expectations, I was kind of willing to give some of the other elements like a little bit of slack in terms of the animation, some of the writing, some of the characterization. So, I mean, I wrote a score because I think I remember you kind of saying that there would be a score for this. So I kind of wrote one down, and I did make some notes of that, my reasonings for that. I guess my... weighing all the pros and cons, like I said, I really did like some of what they did with mainly because like some of those teases of what the potential story threads would be. Like I said, brought it up a couple of digits. Like I like certain elements with Zipp, and what they did with her characters. So I really like that. I did think that there were, because I don't watch these type of CGI type animated shows, or especially on Netflix, and they did kind of, and like I said, I know you said they gave up kind of a Disney Junior show vibe. I wouldn't go that far, honestly. Just looking at it from comparing it to those type of shows, but seeing it go from new generation to this can be a little bit jarring, so I kind of had to take that a little bit into consideration. The fact that the first 30 minutes was basically just, there wasn't really a lot of stuff happening, so except for the only thing that kind of held my interest was kind of Pip doing a little bit, doing the investigating, and I would say like center focal point was the whole thing was kind of her focus, and I felt that Sunny, even though we saw that Sunny was like consistently it's kind of exploring her Alicorn her magic status, Hitch. I felt like the other ones were the other characters were kind of along for the ride, and it was basically Zipp's story. And again, I do love Zipp, and I love where it's going, but again, I didn't feel like the proper balance between all the characters was consistent. I felt like they got kind of shortchanged. So that was kind of the negatives. Also, I felt like songs could have been longer. Maybe some more songs, I really thought. I'm a big Izzy fan. I kind of wanted a little more. Again, in turn, just some more, just some more Izzy in terms of that. So weighing all that, the animation, the writing, the teases at the end, negatives, I kind of balanced it out. So I basically wrote out of a 10, I'd say a 5.8 to a conservative 6 out of 10. So I didn't want to go below 5 because 5 below is like 5 below would be like one of the G4 one of the worst G4 episodes I've ever seen.
Gotcha.
Which is Father Knows Beast or Granny's Gone Wild or something like that, and it wasn't on that. So I would say probably like 5.8. I would say, saying all that, 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, so we all landed right in about the same area, and then cool.
Again, I'm still hoping for the future. I'm still excited for what is going to be coming next.
Yeah, for sure.
This was just a kind of a stumbling mess. But here's to hoping that we're still going to get some good stuff out of G5. So until next time, that's it from me, John.
That's it for me, John.
That's it for me, Sean.
And exactly. And we will talk to you guys later. Peace out, Dragon.
Sayonara.